What's going on? Welcome back to the James Kennedy Podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. How you doing? I hope you've all had an awesome week, and if you haven't yet checked out the last episode with Nathan Paul Southern, go and do it now, because that was one of the most mind-blowing conversations I've had in a long time. The stuff that guy was talking about, Jesus Christ, man. Go and check it out. Honestly, it was an insane chat talking about some mind-blowing investigative journalist work that he's doing over in East Asia to do with criminal networks and organized crime and how it overlaps with state governments and stuff like that. Mind-blowing stuff. Honestly, it was a fascinating chat. So please go back and check that one out if you haven't caught up yet. Not much to report on my end since the last time we spoke. In all honesty, man, I'm working on the second book, and when you're doing that, well, for me anyway, I tend to just become a bit of a hermit, even more so than normal, and just stay indoors and just hammer away at that. So no kind of glamorous Instagram posts can be derived from someone just sitting in front of a laptop, in a hoodie, with a beard, typing. So nothing exciting really to report at this end. But, watch this space because, as I said, the infamous Mr. Eddie Marsh is now back from touring with Iron Maiden. So the underdogs will hopefully be shattering some eardrums very soon. And I will be forced to drag myself out of this long 3-year hibernation that I've been going on. But fear not, because today's guest has a life that is a gazillion times more rock and roll than mine. And I'm super excited to finally be able to get them on the podcast. But before I do that, you know the drill by now. Have you subscribed to the podcast? If you haven't, go and do it right now and come back. Have you left a review yet or a star rating? If you haven't, come on, man, help a brother out. This shit's free. All right, let's just get down to business because I'm super excited to talk to today's guest, so let's bring him on. You may know him as the voice and the hair in the generation-defining Blackout, or the voice and the mullet in the bone-shattering Raiders. Or you may know him as the Chopsy Bastard on the amazing Sappenin podcast. I don't think I need to say any more than that. If you don't know who I'm talking about already, then what the fuck is wrong with you? Joining me today from about 10 minutes down the road, the talented, the stylish, and the ever-entertaining Mr. Sean Smith. What is happening, sir?
Wow, what an intro. Thank you very, very much. Wow, you're a massive liar, James.
I worked really hard on that, Sean.
No, I could tell. No, don't get me wrong. I could tell you worked. You have to work to get those lies out. Talented, all right. Talented and stylish.
Talented and stylish and ever entertaining. I don't see any problem with that, dude.
Well, entertaining is something. What
could be good or bad. Could
it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, watching a car crash can be entertaining. Hello.
Well, we'll see what unfolds.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's not like you need to be on my humble podcast, even though you host, the biggest, music podcast on the planet. So I really appreciate you, helping a brother out, man.
No, not at all. Sappening's not that big. I think we fake it. We've probably got about 6 listeners, I reckon. So we make it look like the loads more.
But somehow you managed to bamboozle like the biggest rock stars on the planet to come and give you the time. So you must be doing something right, man.
Yeah, that's it. And it's clever. It's just basically what's happened is after the Blackout finished, I realised that like all other frontmen who, when their bands disband, I could either become a tattooist or a barber, and I'm not very good at drawing, and I'm not very good at cutting hair either. So my last option was talk to your friends that might remember you, that you were friends with when you were in the band. So yeah, started it that way, and now managed to con, like you said, loads of PR people into thinking we're an actual credible podcast and news outlet.
But yet to get Fred Durst, is that right?
Oh, the bastard! Yeah, no Fred Durst yet. But I've DM'd him several times on Instagram,
right?
And he's liked them, or he sent back like lightning bolts. But hasn't agreed to come on. My thing is, I think the problem is with Fred. What Limp Bizkit are currently going through, this dad vibe shit, right? Is I think he's a little bit embarrassed by it. So rather than just fucking be like, yeah, I don't know, fuck, I'm Fred Durst, the king of new metal, he's going, oh, your dad like this and all this shit.
Right.
And I feel a little bit sad inside. So I think the reason he's not doing interviews and podcasts and stuff is because he's sick of being asking when there's new Limp Bizkit stuff coming.
Right.
And he did a film not long ago with John Travolta. which I don't know if you know about. He directed a film with John Travolta, and apparently it did like 300 tickets the first week in all of the world.
Oh shit!
So I'd imagine he's probably worried that someone's going to go, "Oh,
yeah,
you fucking film flop, then
yeah.
Whereas I would just love to have him on just to rim him for an hour to tell him if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have anything I have today.
We're speaking metaphorically, of course, yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Depends where it takes place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my tongue's not that long that I could go over Zoom.
Right.
I tried. We had Brandon.
You had Brandon on, yeah.
So
yeah.
I have tried to make love to a man.
So who else do you really want to get on that you haven't managed to get yet? Who have you contacted? It's just not playing ball.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Right.
He seems busy all the time. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, what the fuck does that guy even do? You know?
Who else have we reached out to? There's loads, really. Jared Way.
Right. I would have thought you'd have a bit of a gateway to that one.
Funnily enough, his brother messaged me. This is so surreal. I'm looking back on this, mad, really. His brother, who plays bass in My Chemical Romance, Mikey, he messaged me the other day on Instagram saying, "Is this you?" And then with a link to a Forbes article. So my first thought was, "Oh, you've been hacked."
Right.
So I replied, "Is this, before I check this link, have you been hacked or is this real?" Yeah. And he replied, "No, I think it's really you." And then I clicked on it, and it's a Forbes article, right? And the headline is, "Does nose picking put you more at risk of Alzheimer's / dementia?" I
saw that, I think, yeah.
And then when you scroll down, there's a photo of me picking my nose.
With your finger up your nose.
From a Blackout band shot from fucking 2005. So I don't know, number one, I don't know what Forbes were looking for when they looked for that, why they chose that, and the fact that one of My Chemical Romance, possibly the biggest band in the world, one of them went, "Oh, that's Sean. I'm going to send him this now." That was mad to me. So, yeah, I think we're getting closer with the Jared Way one. I think it'll happen eventually.
Well, I want to get the history on the podcast and all that sort of stuff in just a bit. But first, I think we should start with the biggie, because we got loads of stuff I want to ask you today. Let's talk about the big news of the past week or so. The fucking Blackout, baby. Back, playing down on 2023. What's going on? Give us the backstory. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so basically, if anybody listening who doesn't know anything about the Blackout, that's fair enough. We started in 2003 and then we finished in 2015. And in those 12 years, we did a surprising amount of touring and playing with our heroes and stuff. And then 2015 came along and we were all a bit jaded and let down by the music industry. So we decided to call it a day. And then 7 years later, November the 9th, 2022, we announced that the Blackout was going to come back for a show at the Download Festival 2023. So after us talking for about 6 months about what we wanted to do and what ideas we had for the band, we settled on Download Festival, and the lineup looks incroyable, which is French for very, very good.
Insanity, yeah, man. What a fucking lineup to be on, man. Jesus Christ. So how are you feeling? You stoked? Are you trepidatious? I mean, what's because it's been a while since you've been in that capacity. So how are you feeling?
I was chuffed, to be honest. If anybody's ever listened to my podcast, you'll know that I never left the Blackout. The Blackout left me, right. The bastards.
Yeah.
So I was really, really excited for it to come out, and then probably between 9 p.m. on Monday the 9th of November and 1 a.m. I just read lovely messages that melted my cold black heart. And it was lovely. It was absolutely awesome to hear, because genuinely one of the reasons why we got back together is because we're all aging. So is our fan base. And our fan base is dwindling as well, because people are obviously moving on, and because new bands have continued, haven't they? Music didn't stop in 2015 for some reason, and everybody carried on, the selfish buggers. But yeah, so just seeing how much it affected people, and people were like, "I've had a shit year, and this is the one thing that's been good," and all that. So I'm like, what? Wow. it must have been a bad year then if the blackout's the only light. But yeah, the response has been incredible. I don't think any of us expected it at all. When it went live, we trended. It was like Metallica and Slipknot were trending number 19 on Twitter. And then number 21 was the Blackout.
I saw it, yeah, man.
And no sign of Bring Me the Horizon. So I don't want to say we should be headlining the third day or whatever day they're playing, but saying, that's our fee, I believe. Yeah, that's definitely our fee.
Tell him, man, tell him.
I don't mind. Do you know what? I'll let them keep the headlining spot and all the production, but I'll have their fee. That would be better, I think. But yeah, it's been amazing, and yeah, I just want to. I will constantly be in debt to Andy Coppin and Live Nation for having us, because he's always been an avid supporter of the Blackout. Even when the Blackout was together, we played Download in like 2009, 2010, maybe 2012 or something like that. And so basically Andy didn't get on with the Blackout's booking agent. And normally if somebody doesn't get on with the booking agent, they normally don't book your gigs then. But Andy has always been so lovely to us that he would come to us direct rather than go to our agent.
Right.
And he's always been a big supporter of the Blackout, and I've got a lot of time and love for Andy. And I'm hoping we could do some podcast stuff there as well.
That'd be awesome, man. And what a gig to come back with as well. I mean, I know you've been asked this before, but just to get double confirmation, is there any plan beyond this, or is this just doing it for kicks, just to get back on stage again, make some noise together? Or are you going to not bother planning, because then that'll kind of take the shine off? Are you just going to enjoy this moment, see what happens, or what's the vibe?
Yeah, I think we're just going to get back together, do this Download thing, celebrate the songs, see how that goes, and then after Download, probably a couple of months after Download, maybe do our own weekend shows, because some of the boys are dads now because they left it in. So it's probably going to be like maybe 3 weekends, 6 shows, I think, maybe.
Right. That'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully, as long as people come. I'm wearing a Wayne's World t-shirt today. And
I could see it, man. You seem to be. Obviously, this is an audio-only podcast, so the listeners can't see what I'm looking at. So Sean is sporting a very stylish Wayne's World t-shirt, but he seems to be scribbling or drawing some artwork or something as well. What's going on there? What are you kind of like?
Yeah, it's my ADHD. It is. So basically, I just write. Yeah, I'm not kidding, right? So when I do the podcast, this is from when I've been doing podcasts with other people. So I did Alexa on Fire, Jenna McDougall from the early November. I literally just, you won't be able to see this. Oh, it's
a bit
blurred as well.
Oh, no, yeah, I can see that.
It's just all bollocks. I just scribble and I just draw while I'm talking. I've written down we are talented and stylish as well, which you said earlier. So, probably going to add that to my bio.
I love that you could do that, man. I can't multitask at all. There's a guy, Scott Carey, I don't know if you know him. He does all my music videos and stuff like that. And when I sit in on the kind of like the final edit or whatever, what he tends to do is when he's editing video, he'll also have a movie on at the same time on another screen. And I think he said he's got some kind of ADHD thing as well, so he can't just like edit. He's got to watch a movie whilst he's doing it. How the fuck that happens, I got no idea, but my brain can't do that shit, man.
Yeah, I wonder how many times he's confused the music video with whatever he's watching.
Yeah.
James, I'm thinking at the end we get rid of that scene where we dip Arnie in the molten lava. And you're like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, you've been watching Terminator 2 again, guys. You've been watching Terminator 2 again. Bollocks.
I did it again, haven't I? Fucking hell.
Yeah. James, the bit in the jungle where we get Arnie to meet the other fella, and he goes, "Dylan, you son of a bitch." I think we should definitely keep that. And we're like, that was Predator. Yeah, that was Predator. Unbelievable.
I'm actually envious of his ability to do that, though, man. I mean, have you actually got ADHD or?
I'm not diagnosed, but I'm 100% sure. Yeah, I'm 100% sure. I haven't gone to get it diagnosed because. What are they going to do?
What's the point? Yeah.
I literally feel like, all right, I'd know. And then I'd be like, yeah, well, I've known that for years. It makes sense because in school, my reports were always the same. It was always the same thing. Can do it, very, very intelligent, cannot focus.
Right.
And I was like, yes, of course.
Me, yeah.
And now as I've got older and I've read more about the symptoms and stuff like that, I've been like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense. And then, I can go and get it diagnosed, but if I end up on I don't know, Adderall or whatever
fuck that.
They give for that. That's just going to make me go. Eh.
Yeah, you're doing great as you are, man. Yeah, I think I got a little bit of OCD. I can only really focus on one thing at a time, and I'm very intense about that. But I have to finish stuff. Like, it doesn't matter if it's not even that good. I have to fucking finish it. If I start something, I'm finishing the motherfucker. Like, my first book came out in the lockdown. I wrote the whole fucking thing in 2 months.
Wow.
I was like, I'm doing this fucking thing, and I don't do anything else until the thing is finished. I grow a big beard, I smell, I got food down me, my health goes to shit, and I can't relax until the thing is done. And then as soon as whatever it is done, I immediately start something else, like another album or whatever, and until that fucking album is done, I can't rest,
Yeah, well, I'm the opposite in a way, that I will not do things until the very last moment and worry about it. Or the other thing is, if I am doing something, so say for example, like I do band management, started working the last 6 months with Ryan Richards from Future History Management and Funeral for a Friend. We look after a bunch of bands. So now today we have some announcements going out later today, but before I can write up those announcements, I need more information from the band. And now I am on pins because I've sent that email asking for that information. If that information comes before 2:00 now, the announcement goes out at 2:00. So I am going to be vibrating now until I get the exact information I need from this band to post before 2:00. So yeah, it's a weird one. I really wish I didn't have it, but then...
Well, you get a lot of shit done though, dude. I mean, come on, man. You're smashing the fucking podcasts out every week. You're in 2 bands.
Yeah, it looks like that though. Yeah, it looks like that to you.
Right.
But in my head, it's terrible. Everything's on fire. So, but this is the thing. There's been moments where, because I've read like ADHD leads to depression and stuff like that, and that would make sense because there's been moments where I've been awfully depressed.
Right.
And, it's just, there's been moments where I've been like, oh, I wish I didn't have this or whatever. I wish I could have listened in school and just got my qualifications. But it's like, what would I have ended up doing? I don't think there's anything in my body that could make me do like a sit down 9 to 5 in an office.
I would kill you.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd have to be the company jester, or something along those lines. Because it's been terrible. But then on the same time, if I didn't have whatever I've got, maybe myself and the Blackout wouldn't have done what we did, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what makes you you, isn't it? That's what gives you your unique creative spark, And that kind of leads into something I wanted to ask you, because you had Ian Winwood on the podcast recently. Shout out to Ian Winwood. He was on my show back in May talking about his amazing book, Bodies. What a fucking book. Everybody go and check that out as well.
Awesome.
And he asked you a question when he was on your show. He said, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have tasted the dream at all? And you didn't get to fully finish your answer before the conversation kind of moved on. I was really, really keen to hear what your answer was to that, because, you've had an experience of the music industry that pretty much most other bands will never achieve. I mean, you've toured the world, you've played, stadiums and arenas and things like that. You've tasted that lifestyle, you've lived it. But also it ended as well. And then you had to pick up the pieces and start a new life.
Yeah.
So I'd be really keen to hear your answer to that, as to what the experience of finally achieving your dream and living your dream was like, but then also what it was like when it ended, and whether you do think that it was better to have loved than lost, or never to have done it in the first place. Because I'm imagining the existential crisis that you must have experienced when it all ended. Must have been a motherfucker, man.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, it was very, very tough when it ended, because I'd reached out to loads of people before we announced that it was going to end, to try and find what I could do next, or what job I could do, or if there was anything available for me. And there were people there was a radio presenter they would call me up whenever they needed the Blackout to do something for them, and we'd go and do it. And then, so a week before we announced we were splitting up, I messaged them. Oh no, a week before we announced we were splitting up, a week before December the 1st, 2014, we went and played acoustically for this person on the radio. And then, while I was there, I was like, I'd love to get involved in radio, or radio presenting and stuff like that. And this radio presenter was like, oh, you'd be brilliant at that. You'd be amazing. And I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, if there's any way I can come down and shadow you, I will literally be your assistant. I'll make you tea, coffee, just so I can come and learn the desk. And they were like, yeah, that's such a brilliant idea. So I planted the seed. And then a week later, when we announced we were splitting up, I messaged this person again. No reply. And then probably for the next like 6 or 7 months, I'd sent the messages via text, via WhatsApp, via Facebook, and got no reply whatsoever.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, I was lost. I was depressed. I was lost. I had no idea what I could do, because if you look at my CV, it went, worked in McDonald's when he was 16.
Rockstar.
No, it's better than I, because McDonald's when I was 16, Argos for 2 Christmases, because you couldn't keep a full-time year job. Castle Bingo, not a bingo caller.
Sweet.
Not a bingo caller, sadly. And then went to college, just about to finish my 3rd year of media studies, and the band takes off. So my CV looks like job, missing for 13 years, reappeared. So, so when this person didn't get back to me, I was very, very gutted with that, because I thought, oh, use my in, really. Like, this will be the start of the new thing I will focus on and complete. And they never got back to me. So that was 2015. And then 2020, we had a massive flood in South Wales that flooded out a place called Clubberbont in Pontypridd. And this radio DJ texted me February 2020 saying, oh, hiya, sorry I missed your messages. It seems you're doing well with the podcast. I'm just wondering, is there any chance the Blackout would get back together to play a charity show for me for Clubberbont? So what I've done now is I've purposely not replied to him. And in 3 more years, because they left me on red for 5 years, in 3 more years, I'm going to reply and go, no, we can't do that Clubberbont show.
I love that one, man.
Or I might reply going, oh, I see Clubberbont has sorted itself out. That's good.
Yeah, can I have a gig?
So when the band fell apart, I was so lost, and I genuinely mourned that. Like, it was like the death of a friend, which is why it's taken so long, and it's been so hard for me to get the other boys back in and on the same terms, because we genuinely all mourned it. Like, we were all absolutely gutted it had to come to an end. And yeah, looking back on it now, it was like the business side of it that killed it for us. There was so many fingers and so many pies, so many people taken from us.
Yeah.
Since then, we found out that like a record label owes us in excess of £26,000, and apparently I've somehow been scammed out of the rights for our album and an EP. So they don't own that anymore, which means we don't own that anymore, which means we don't know. It's been taken off streaming websites.
Oh, fucking hell.
So yeah, it was the business side that put a fucking end to it.
That's per usual.
It was very, very aggressive. But,
get it out, man. Get it out.
Yeah, bastard. What's But yeah, no, it was. To answer your question, we'll go back to the Ian Winwood question of to loved and lost. Don't get me wrong, I had the best time of my life. Nobody expected us to do what we did. I never expected to go to Japan or Australia and to meet my heroes, who were all fucking lovely to me. But yeah, there was part of me that wish I just fucking didn't have whatever I'd got, listened in school.
Really?
Could work in an office. And yeah, just because to have the stability. Because when we came out of the Blackout, it was so unstable in all ways, like financially, mentally.
But did you feel like that when you were in the band? When the band was doing well and doing its thing? I'm sure you didn't feel like that then.
No, not early on. But I suppose probably from 2012 onwards, when it became the shows were the only highlights.
Right.
So playing the gigs was the only fun. So if you think about it, say you could be doing a fucking 3-month tour or whatever. Only 1 hour a day you'd be enjoying it, and the rest you were trying to work out where's our money gone? Why haven't we got any money? Can we afford to pay our rent? Because we all had like houses and girlfriends and fiancés, and the boys had children back home, and we could see that our profit was dwindling or whatever. So yeah, it was just the last 2 or 3 years were not so fun apart from the shows. Like
right.
To this day, like everything I've ever loved about that band, everything I've ever wanted for that band was just to play gigs, just to show off and have fun and have a laugh. And that's the whole thing. Like towards the end, recording was like boring. Like I'm just kind of bored. We kind of bored of that because you've got to record to put something out to play to try and sell.
Cycle, isn't it? It's a hamster wheel,
Yeah, and
that's interesting, man. That's interesting.
And the thing is, it sounds ungrateful, and that's the worst bit about it. But this is what Ian Winwood said on the podcast as well. A lot of people in bands don't feel like being in a band is a proper job.
Proper job, yeah.
Because it doesn't get looked at because you're not doing fucking 9 to 5 hard graft.
Yeah.
Like all the other fucking men before you in South Wales who were down the pit and all this shit. But yeah, I did get to travel. I got to meet my heroes. I got to live in this world. But that's the thing. It's like, even after it finished, me and my girlfriend went to go and see Def Havana play somewhere. And I was still jaded and like blasé about it all. So I went there and basically I would like pick apart the show to my girlfriend because, I've done it. So when I went to this show, it was almost as if how do I describe this? Somebody else is having sex with a girlfriend on stage, I guess. Right, yeah. It's like, oh, I can do that. I do that pretty well as well, I think. Give me a go.
I can do that better.
Yeah. Let me have a go there. Even, and that's Def Havana, an amazing band. James is a better singer than I could ever be in my life. But there was always part of me that whenever I went to a gig, made me go, oh, I could do this. This is what I do. This is my thing. Like, I know everything that's going on in this show. And so, like sometimes me and my girlfriend would go to shows and it was like a busman's holiday.
Right.
So like we would get in there and she was excited to see the band. And I was just like, I couldn't care less. It's not me.
Yeah. I know. I relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems ungrateful to say, part of me wishes that it had gone differently. Or maybe not even have happened at all for me to be more mentally secure. But I have lived my dreams and met my heroes. And
and that means something, man. You know what I mean? It's like you've got the stories, you've got the memories, you've got the life experiences, and the growth that comes from that. That's something, innit? I think, I don't want to turn this into an Ian Winwood Appreciation Society, but I mean, he touches on the book is so fucking good. It covers all this stuff, doesn't it? I mean, the people that actually get to achieve that level in the industry where they've got the stability, emotionally, mentally, and financially, are very, very few, man. It's less than 1%.
It's got to be.
So the only reward the rest of us can get is the things that you just mentioned. It's the experiences, you know what I mean? It's to taste those highs and have those memories and those stories. But it sucks then when the fucking party's over,
Yeah. Or when you write an album called Start the Party. That's when it starts to suck as well, because we made the mistake of doing a party type album thinking, oh, we're partying now. I'm sure our audience oh no, they're much younger than us and they're still miserable. Shit. We put out the Start the Party album, and then that led to a decline as well. So that didn't help. I am grateful for what we did, but there have been moments where I've second guessed and doubted if I should have done it at all.
Wow.
But it's lucky that I've kind of got the gift of the gab, I guess. Because if it was like say Gavin, for example, now, like if Gavin was in my situation, I don't think he would have done a podcast. Like he went straight back into working with Neil Starr from a band called Attack and Dopamine in South Wales, who he runs a merchandise company called All About the Merch. So Gavin went back to work with him. Whereas I guess me doing the podcasting is trying to make some money off these good memories that I've got. So the one thing that I did get from the band, good memories and the ability to meet people and do these crazy things, I am now trying to still monetize via talking about it. Yeah. Because it didn't make enough money back then.
Well, it's exactly the same, bro. I mean, like my book. I mean, my band Kaishira never got to do any of the shit that the Blackout did. Far from it, So, but when my band ended, and we didn't even get above the level of just getting fucking royally rogered from every angle by every crook in the fucking game, I was like, I've got to do something with this. Even though I don't have the stories that you've got or whatever, or the experiences, I've got to do something with this. So I wrote a fucking memoir about how fucking shit it all was. Just trying to do something with the experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing now. It just makes me look and feel ungrateful for what I had and what I lost or whatever. But
I don't think so, man. I think it's honesty, because I think it's healthy that with that honesty as well, because so many people, especially fans of bands or young musicians wanting to get into the game, I think that kind of mythology just sets people up for so much fucking bad health and letdowns themselves. I think it's healthy to be honest about the reality of the industry,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I hope some people have you heard me speak about it and gone, "Oh, cool," but it's not all fucking glitz and glamour and gold. And maybe there is some sort of, because that's the thing. Like when I was coming up as a kid, you didn't get any of that. Like, don't get me wrong, you had rock stars killing themselves, and that's obviously fucking awful. But I wasn't thinking of like. I remember back early on in the Blackout days when I had no idea what depression or any of that shit was. And I remember arguing with at the time, the editor of Rock Sound, because we were talking about Kurt Cobain. And I said something like, "Fuck Kurt Cobain. I can't believe he'd do that. I can't believe he'd kill himself and he's got a kid and he's got all that money." It's like, and then cut to about fucking 7 years later, and I was like, "Oh no, I completely understand why he did that. Fucking hell. Lucky we haven't got shotguns over here." But there was, there's moments where, because I grew up thinking, being a rock star is just all fucking glitz and glamour. You're just loved by everyone. There's no fucking downside.
Yeah.
And there was no one for me to check out beforehand. Yeah. So hopefully people will check out the podcast and realize that it's not all glitz and glamour, and there's moments where it's really hard work, and you're not going to make much money, if any at all.
If any at all, yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, again, like to go back to fucking Ian Winwood, it's just turned into a fucking, I think this is the Ian Winwood fucking fan club. Yeah. Changing over the podcast. Yeah, like he mentioned about it being a job and stuff, and it's like, there were points in the Blackout where we were earning, I don't know, probably like fucking 400 quid a month each, right? But we were like, we should be grateful for this. Like, we're doing this, and it's like,
we're living our dream, yeah. Other people haven't got this,
Yeah, and we put so much into that we were like literally just forgetting what we need for the future or whatever. We were like, "Oh, it's all right. And but we get to travel to Japan." It's like, yeah, but I'm really close to not being able to pay my house rent.
Right.
This is mad.
Yeah.
Like, lucky we all, the majority of us had partners and girlfriends at the time. Otherwise, we would have been doomed, or homeless, or for a while, I kind of was, because we were out on tour for probably like 7 months at a time, and me and an ex-girlfriend had split up, so I had to move all my stuff back to my parents' house into my old spare bedroom. Well, I went on tour for months at a time.
This is fascinating for me, man, because I did all that same stuff too, but we were still at the club level, and I was thinking, fuck, this is only happening to us because I'm such a fucking loser,
No, it's happening to the majority. This is the thing. I think a lot of people and a lot of bands online, well, everybody online is doing it. They're showing how they've got a better life than they actually have.
Totally.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And everybody in a band who claims they do it fucking well, unless you're in Paramore, My Chemical Romance,
or Muse,
Metal Liquor, or Muse, or Billie Eilish, like you're not doing well. Like it's those few, like it's mad. And I don't want to put people off being in a band.
So what advice would you give to young bands?
Yeah. What advice should you have to musicians out? Don't fucking bother.
Don't bother. Get a job.
Learn Excel. Learn Excel.
Yeah. Get into finance.
Learn to concentrate. Learn to concentrate.
Oh, this is fascinating stuff, man. Yeah, it's so good to you're so honest and open about this stuff, man. What was your experience of the industry when you were in it then, before the reality started to sink in and stuff? I mean, what were your relationship like with the industry guys? I mean, did they conform to the cliche of the cigar chomping, coke guzzling, sex predator, fucking money grabbing fucktard, or were they genuinely like nice guys and you know?
No, that was it. You did it right first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, up and down, really. Like little column A and a little column B. So right. I wouldn't say many of them were into cigars, but I would say a lot of them were probably into cocaine, which is Welsh for cocaine. And yeah, a lot of them never been. This is the problem. We ended up having people manage us and look after us who had never been in a band, had never written a song, had never dealt with any of the band life stuff, probably had never even fucking booked a hotel before they started working for us or whatever. Right. And yeah, it's all the same thing. Like, I think we were lucky, the Blackout were lucky that we were 6 reasonably intelligent lads from 2008's third roughest town in Britain, Merthyr Tydfil. But we were switched on to the fact that people were blowing smoke up our ass.
Right.
And we were always so almost negative to be like, nah, this is never going to happen for us. Or, yeah, whatever. So, like, every record label, every band goes to, if the label's interested in signing you, they'll tell you that they're planning for you to be the biggest band in the world. Right? We all knew from the start, this is a fucking load of bollocks, right? Don't listen to this shit. Do what we can to just keep us fucking playing, because playing is the most important thing to us. And then since then, I've seen bands. There's a band from Merthyr, right? That were called Pretty Vicious.
Yep.
Where Zane Lowe, they had a single out called The Cave Song. Zane Lowe described the frontman as possibly the voice of his generation. So this band from Merthyr Tydfil started to get some traction. So me and one of the other boys from the Blackout wanted to try and like help them. But when we got in touch with them, like one of their fathers and one of their uncles was managing them because they'd been in a cover band.
Oh, shit.
So basically, for our last show, for the Blackout's last show in Rita Carl Leisure Centre in Merthyr, we did 2 nights. We asked Pretty Vicious if they would come and play to open for us as like a passing of the torch, to be like, here's Merthyr's next fucking big thing. Get on these now. And it was already sold out, so we didn't, we weren't getting them to sell tickets. And one of the fathers and one of the uncles said to us, yeah, they want $2,000 a show. And we were like, okay, cool, never mind then.
Yeah,
because we don't need them.
Jesus Christ.
And all this shit. And we tried to get, me and Matthew from the band tried to get involved with them to help them, because we knew that if you just leave any old numpty from Merthyr in charge of a band, you're doomed, unless they're switched onto it.
Yeah.
And then I used to speak to my friend then, who was friendly with Pretty Vicious as well, and he would tell me stories, and I'm like, that's never going to happen. And he's like, oh yeah, so they went to Warner the other day, and Warner gave him $250,000 or whatever, and got him loads of these Gibson guitars and stuff. I'm like, yeah, and they have to pay all that back.
100%.
This is what you don't. And he's like, oh, they're told they're going to be the biggest band in the world. I was like, yeah, we've all been told they're going to be the biggest band in the world. Listen. And then my friend was like, oh, apparently, rumor has it, and this is the funniest story in the world. Apparently, Noel Gallagher, right? So basically, in Merthyr Tydfil, there's a pub called the Growan, right? Lovely pub. I love it there when I've been there. But so anyway, the Growan pub, my friend said to me, Pretty Vicious have had an email from Noel Gallagher's agent saying Noel Gallagher's going to come to the Growan to ask Pretty Vicious to go on tour with him, right? And I went to my friend, I went, Craig, that has never, ever happened in the history of a headliner asking a support act. They've never gone to their hometown and a specific pub to ask the band. It's literally, we just had an email off Noel Gallagher's agent asking if we want to go on tour. That would be it.
Yes.
There'd be no Noel Gallagher's coming.
Yeah.
And the amount of shit and rumours that I've heard come from people associated with Pretty Vicious who have just fallen for it because they've had the smoke blown up their ass.
Right.
But that's one of the things that Blackout never did. Like, we were like, all right, yeah, we get it. Because we knew we were like a screamy, heavy band. We knew we were never going to be fucking Muse or James Arthur. Like, we knew we weren't going to be those singy fucking massive things. Like, we always knew that there was like a limit to what we could do. But the amount of people who come into this and they haven't got a clue and they just think it's... Well, the thing that ended Pretty Vicious was drugs and rock and roll. I don't know if they were having sex much, but I know drugs and rock and roll really fucking put an end to that band because the singer got really into drugs and drinking and mental health and stuff. And yeah, so a couple of times I tried to get involved with them to help them out, but they just wouldn't listen. And then they ended up fucking self-imploding.
Wow, that's crazy.
And
crazy.
It's sad. It's sad more than anything because they literally had the potential. They could have been fucking massive. They could have been but this happened. This is something I'll be proud of. March 28th, 2015 was the Blackout's last ever show. And we had an after show party in Merthyr Tydfil. And two of my friends came. But two of my friends loved Pretty Vicious, right? Well, they love the idea of Pretty Vicious, I think, more than they love Pretty Vicious. And both of them made the point on the night of the Blackout's last gig of telling me how massive Pretty Vicious are going to be, right? Like, almost as if they were rubbing it in my face, right? And one of my friends would phone me up when Pretty Vicious did anything good. And he was like, oh, they're doing this. And I'm like, I don't care. And two of my friends that very night, our last ever gig, was like, I bet you by 2020. No, it wasn't even that. It was like 2018, they'll headline Reading, Pretty Vicious.
Fuck.
I shook on this, £150 each. They both owe me money. So Craig Bowen, Martin Williams, if you're listening to this, you both owe me 150 quid. I wouldn't be surprised if you know Martin Williams, by the way.
I do.
There you go. He owes 150 quid.
Get on it, Mark, you tight fucker.
Yeah, it's just people had like literally put all their fucking money on Pretty Vicious doing well. And, you know, like I saw so many people in Merthyr try and get involved with them early on so they could, you know, ride the rocket with them.
It happens all the time, man, doesn't it? You know, I mean, it's like, especially like where we are in South Wales, I mean, there's so much talent around here. There's so many bands. And, you know, you hear this all the time, like, your band will be on the scene for like 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're playing arenas, they've got a record deal, you know, they're supporting, you know, massive bands. And it's like, oh, wow, you know, these are going to be the next guys, you know? Then when you speak to them, they say, yeah, how's the band going, boys? You know, they're like, oh, no, it's bad. You know, the label are rinsing us, you know, we're hungry, you know, we haven't got any money. And before you know it, it all comes crashing down again. It's such a shame, but it happens literally all the time. So, you know, it's so hard, man. It's tough out there, you know?
Well, here's another story that maybe your listeners they're probably so far removed from feeling anything with me at the moment.
I doubt
so
it,
the Blackout got offered to do 5 Linkin Park shows, right?
Wow.
So 5 shows supporting Linkin Park. We worked out that over those 5 days, we played 150,000 people, right?
Fuck.
So we had a box of 1,000 t-shirts printed, thinking this is good. If we work it out, and you know, 150, you know, it was at least 30,000 people a gig, maybe. Does that work out? Does my maths work out for that?
No idea.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I didn't even try.
30,000 people a gig. So we thought, if we get 1,000 t-shirts a gig, right? Surely we'll shift most of them. 5 days, supporting Linkin Park, 150,000 people. By the end of the tour, we had sold 14 t-shirts.
What the fuck?
And that's not because we went down bad. We went down very, very well, right? This is the thing with the Blackout. Super good at stealing other people's fans.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Great live band, man.
Super good at doing enough comedy in between songs that people like the band one way or the other. They either hate the music and think, oh, but they're funny, or they think, I love the music, I wish that long-headed twat would stop trying to be funny. But like we'd won so many people over on that Linkin Park tour that we found online after, and like all those things like went up, but we sold 14 t-shirts.
That's fucking
on that
mental.
whole run. So that goes to show. And we were probably on a support, we were probably on 400 quid a night, if that. So you're doing these places, and these are we did Greece, Latvia, Lithuania, Munich. We played in Madrid in a bull ring. How many people can say they played a bull ring?
That's fucking mental.
Well, loads of matadors, I suppose. So we played like these shows that we had to fly into and, sort out our hotels. We get paid £400 a show. And then you work out, you sold 14
Hang on a
t-shirts.
second. Is that the band or per member?
Oh, no, that's the band. The band was
400 quid.
Yeah. If you're supporting those big bands, so say now, My Chemical Romance, we were main supporter of them. I don't know, but I'd imagine we were probably being paid under £1,000 a night between all of us.
Wow.
For those arena shows. But yeah, like if you're opening for a big band, like the amount of times we opened for Lost Profits in theatres and stuff like that, we were on 50 quid opening.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so even when you're like a main support, there's not much, unless you're doing some sort of giant co-headline type tour with someone. The supports are not being paid that much.
Well, you're doing it, I suppose, for the the exposure to a bigger crowd. But then, if you like you say, does that translate then into actual new fans? Because if you're shifting 14 T-shirts when you play to fucking gazillions of people, then what's the conversion?
Yeah, and I guess that's where our live show and the comedy aspect of it came in with winning people over. It didn't translate into merch money. But then some of those gigs with My Chemical Romance, with Linkin Park. One of them in Latvia, we found out because as a support band, we had a price match with Linkin Park.
Right.
So say Linkin Park t-shirts were 30 quid, our t-shirts had to be 30 quid. We couldn't do them 20 like we wanted to.
Yeah.
In Latvia, we did a show where their t-shirts were like, it came to like the average week wage in Latvia for one of their t-shirts.
Yeah, now.
And we sold one t-shirt at that gig in Latvia. And we always said, if we ever meet that person, they have free access to any Blackout shows forever.
Right.
Because you spend a week's wage on a stupid t-shirt from a silly band from Wales who was supporting Linkin Park when you could have bought Linkin Park merch.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People don't see the hidden costs or the lack of money. It's like they see you supporting My Chemical Romance to this arena, and that's cool. But when you work out everybody else around the band is getting paid more than everybody in the band, it comes as a shock to people. I remember the Blackout's biggest ever headline show. We played Camden Roundhouse, and it was like 3,000 people, sold out. And I worked out everybody who worked for the band that day got paid more than I did for that week of shows.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's fucking
because
crazy.
For some reason, bands now make less money because people just steal the music for free online.
Right.
Bands are in 2022 costs, but techs and stuff are still in 1980s money.
Got you.
So like guitar techs, drum techs, fucking front of house, tour managers, they're all getting like the 200 plus a day. And then the 6 people on stage who brought these 3,000 people to this gig were on 150 quid a week if we were lucky.
It's fucking wrong, man. It's wrong. The one thing I wanted to ask you was, having sort of had success in what could be considered now the older model, I suppose, when it was still MySpace and CDs and merch and stuff like that. And now, obviously, you're in a new band, Raiders, in the new model, starting out in a new model. What's the comparison for you? Do you see it as better or worse now? I mean, I've always been a kind of someone who got fucked so hard by the old model. I've always been an evangelist for the new model. And now I can make a record in my house for free, put it out myself, do what the fuck I like. I make all the money if there is any. No one tells me what the fuck to do. I got social media. I can do all that shit. I've always been an evangelist for that. But the truth of the matter is, there's actually zero money in that at all. There's creative freedom, but there's nothing else. So what are your thoughts on? Do you think it's better now, or just a different set of problems?
I think it's better now for some reasons. Obviously, the reach that you can get out to, all corners of the world now. Because when we started, literally, we were one of the MySpace bands.
Yeah.
So I think the probably the most famous ones are like Arctic Monkeys, Enter Shikari did very, very well off MySpace. Who else did very well? Dane Cook, the comedian, did very well off MySpace. And yeah, so we were one of the early kind of MySpacey bands, which led us to get signed to Fierce Panda Records, which was our first record label. And our first album, in the first week of sales, did 12,000 records, right? So did 12,000 sales.
Yeah.
If that was today, we'd be number one by 6,000 records.
Right, yeah.
We'd be double number one. Like, and that charted at like 128, right? So We Are the Dynamite came out, sold 12,000 copies the first week, charted like 198, 89, something like that. It was way down in the hundreds anyway. And then we went on to do The Best in Town, Hope, and Start the Party, all charted in the top 40 of streams and off the stuff like that. But like I said earlier, we were in the model, we were the crossover between CDs to MP3s and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm saying we're owed money now. Like Fierce Panda still owe us, and they've literally told us for physical copies. So that's first album stuff. We've never been paid by Fierce Panda, and we're still waiting on it now. We spoke to them, and they said they were going to give us some money, and we want to see the accounts, basically.
Right.
Because apparently they've got no money, but yet Simon, the owner of the label, just released a book about how shit his record label is.
I saw that, yeah.
And I thought, I'll have some of that money in, you cheeky fucker. Because you've used our money to keep yourself alive.
Yeah.
So technically, I wrote that book by keeping you alive, you fucker.
Right.
But yeah, so they owe us thousands of pounds. So we didn't really see any money from the CD era, really. I mean, I've got it there somewhere. There's loads of our money in somebody else's bank account. But yeah, it's just, I'm currently involved in the shooting of a music documentary as well, which at the moment is tentatively called The Price of Sound. Because we're trying to work out, is music worth anything anymore? Because now you're literally doing it for free to put out to people, to get them to come and look at your other stuff, and hopefully buy a T-shirt, which
it's like the bait.
More than your songs.
It's the bait for other stuff, and I've got a theory that that's always been the case. I mean, when we were paying like 17 quid for a CD or a vinyl or something like that, we weren't paying for the music; we were paying for the plastic and the cardboard. That's my theory. Yeah. Now the manufacturing aspect is gone, and music is just a thing that exists in the ether. It doesn't have any value, but I don't think it ever did. I don't think we were ever paying for the fucking music. We were paying for all the other shit in the manufacturing chain. So it's a strange one. What value the value that we give to this thing that exists in the ether, we've got to decide what that value is. And I know that everyone feels that value because it's the soundtrack to everyone's life, isn't it? You know, but it's just so fucking mad that we've found ourselves in a system now where that's the norm, that musicians just give this shit for free and we're expected to live on fucking thin air or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't get that in any other job, though, do you? Like, you don't go like, I don't think Tesla employees should be paid for their work.
Because they're doing it for the crack. They love it, like, you know. Yeah,
because they're doing it because they love cars.
Yeah.
Or they've studied in that, so they should be doing it for free.
Yeah, they love it, like, you know, they're grateful.
But that's the problem with being in a band. Like, people are going to be listening to this going, Sean, I'm in a fucking treacherous job.
Yeah.
I'm an offshore fucking trawler, man.
Yeah.
How dare you fucking complain about this shit? But that's it. You're just being milked. Like, as a band, you're being fucking milked by people who can send some emails for you or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there are needs for managers and stuff like that when it gets tougher. But yeah, the amount of bands I see who are so desperate for a manager, and it's like, just cut away 20% of your money now. Yeah. You fucking mental. Just so they can send some emails. So you can fucking look after them emails, surely.
Yeah. So it's no better now than it was. It's still just as fucked, if not worse.
I think it's kind of worse now, but just because it's worse if you're not a producer or you haven't got any computer talent. Basically, like me or anyone in radio. Well, Styx is good at producing and stuff, but doesn't do it because for some reason, Raiders, we are stuck in the recording the old way model.
Got you.
So we all have to go to a studio and do it that way and
yes.
pay a fucking fortune for it.
That's a good point. That's a good
point. Whereas other people who can just fucking open their laptop up and play all of the drums, probably like your fucking self.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do it all. That's awesome because you've got that in you and congratulations. But then, yeah, for us losers who can't do that, I think, it's got shitter for us because we still have to do the old model where
that makes a lot of sense.
Get somebody to fund it, get somebody to fund the record studio and stuff because...
Yeah, that's something I took for granted because that's a conversation I had with Ian as well. And because I was saying like, hey, the new model gives us all this freedom and blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, but you're lucky that, not lucky in the sense that I've learned how to do it. But I take for granted the fact that, I can make a studio. Well, my last album was made in this fucking chair on this desk. Didn't cost me a penny, nice. And then put it out for free on, DistroKid or whatever the fuck, But, not everyone is in that situation, if you're a drummer or a guitar player in a band, you're not the lead singer or you don't know how to produce. I mean, that's just not true of most bands, is it? There are still overheads and expenses for most bands, A band is an expensive thing, and that's just talk about making the record. If you want to get out and do some shows, fucking hell, dude. I mean, just booking the thing costs you money half the time. If you want it, certainly if you need accommodation or a vehicle hire or you need food and petrol, it's fucking through the roof. Like,
people don't. That's the thing. See, people don't see the. This just sounds like a woe is me.
No,
people
not
just
so.
Don't see people don't see the mounting costs in being in a band. Like, so my new band Raiders now. We played Bridgewater not long ago, right? We're probably asking for I don't know, maybe £200 to go and do a gig, and then promoters are like, if we can't guarantee a sellout or whatever, we can't afford this, and we're like, okay, well, factor this in. It costs £150 to rent a van. It costs us £100 on fuel, right? We've got to possibly get someone to drive the van if we can't get one of the band to drive it, because none of us really fucking enjoy driving or whatever. We've got to get the merch printed. That costs us until, we don't see the money back for that until they're all gone or whatever. And so, just on the van alone, we're £50 down before we even leave the house.
Yeah.
So, if you can't afford that, you're fucked. Like, and that's what it kind of comes full circle. That's kind of what we said about the Blackout now. Is we'll do it for fun. We don't want no business side of it. We're not looking to record anymore. Just celebrate these songs, and we're not looking for major money because we never made major money the first time. We're not looking for major money, just enough money so we can do the shows and everybody enjoys themselves. So,
Amen.
So we can pay our crew. Yeah, so we can pay our crew. We can get there. Our travel is sorted. We don't have to pay anything else. Cool. That's how we're looking at it now.
Yeah. That's what people say. What advice would you give to young bands starting out and stuff like that? That's exactly the advice for who the fuck am I to give advice? But that's what I would say from my own experience is just do it for the crack and the love of it. Because the second it starts being about anything else, it goes south.
Oh, 100%. I say, set little goals, because I always had little goals with the Blackout. Like when we started, I wanted to play somewhere with a stage. Then it was play somewhere with monitors, even though I didn't know what a monitor did. I just seen rock stars.
Put your foot on it.
Just seen rock stars put their foot on it, and I was like, I'd like to stand like that while shouting. That would be cool. And then it was play some with a barrier, and then it was just little goals and just have fucking fun. Make the most out of every gig. I have literally played shows, right, where I've been main stage, Reading and Leeds, right, in the middle of the day, probably, I'm not very good with counting very quickly, but I reckon it was about 90,000 people stood in front of me, right? I've also played a show in Cardiff Barfly where we went on to a sound guy and his dog.
Yeah.
And the sound guy left.
I've had that exact same thing. Yeah.
I played to a gig to a dog. 6 of us played a gig to a dog. I remember us going, boys, we're getting paid to practice. It's £50 to practice. That's how we saw it back in the day. I've done 90,000 people. I've done playing to a dog. Once in Meze Lounge in Newport, we played to 2 guys in suits who just bought a bottle of champagne, who sat next to the stage facing out. Didn't even watch us. I don't even know why they came in. sat next to her. So yeah, just use every gig. Just make it fun. Just try your best to make it fun. If there's one person there, try your best to win them over.
Yeah.
Or make them so angry that they go home and tell their friends about you. That's what I think you do.
100%. Oh, dude, this is like therapy for me, man. I thought I was alone, man. I thought it was just me.
No.
Well, I was speaking of money. When we were doing our thing in Kaishira, doing everything you just described, renting vans and stuff to get around Europe and things, and fucking relentless costs and merch and all that bullshit. We formed a covers band. And what we would do is we would fucking hammer the cover scene for a bit and put all the money in the kitty and save it up, because if you're getting paid like 200 quid for a Raiders gig, you get fucking paid 400 quid for a covers band. You know what I mean? And it's 2 minutes down the road, you're fucking home by midnight or whatever. $400 in the kitty. So we would hammer that for a bit, save it all up, and then we'd pay for our European tour or whatever in advance in cash. It was all done. That was fucking awesome. Nice. That was the model that we did for a bit. But one night, we were setting up a gig in Cardiff ready to go on, and I heard this fucking guy screaming, going, "Hey! Oh! Hey!" I was like, what the fuck? And he kept doing it. So I looked over my shoulder and said, "Where the fuck is this guy?" And he was screaming at me. He's going, "Hey! Oh!" So it's like, I gotta fucking nip this in the bud now. So I ran over to him and said, "Dude, what's up, man? What are you fucking screaming about?" And he's like, "Hey, I know who you are, but I know you, but." And I was like, "Oh, who am I then?" He was like, "Hey, ain't fucking talking, but I fucking know you, but." And I was like, "Oh, who am I then? Tell me." And he was like, "Ian fucking Watkins, but." And I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" I said, "What?"
When was this?
This was about fucking, it's got to be like, he was in the nick at that point. It was like, it must have been about 8 years ago or something like that. He was like, I was like, "Dude, do you think they let him out on a weekend to play fucking Mr. Brightside, you thick fucking twat?" You know what I mean? And I said, you want to be careful going around saying that to people, because they'll fucking knock you out. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, "Hey, I fucking know you, but." And he just fucking left and walked off without giving me the kick in you would think somebody would give someone if they thought he was Ian Watkins at that point.
You'd have to. Yeah. Like, yeah, that says more about that person.
Yeah.
For not
kicking the shit out of me.
Genuinely thought we were you. Yeah.
You had a duty.
I'm sorry, but you should have had the shit kicked out of me.
I know, I was offended. I was like, "Dude, you have a civic duty to kick the shit out of someone if you think it's Ian Watkins, and just walk away." But
that's mad.
I mentioned that because, of course, you were close friends with the man himself.
I was very close friends with the man himself.
Yeah. I was loath to bring this up, but I mean, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I think it's just another one of the very interesting parts of your life story, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's fucking bonkers. And to be honest, I genuinely, it's been 10 years now since he's been arrested. December the 12th now coming up will be the 10th anniversary of him being arrested. It's literally just a story of when I was growing up, I was into Stereophonics. Well, originally I was into happy hardcore, or Dragon Force as is known now. I was into happy hardcore, and then obviously being from Merthyr Tydfil and the Welsh Valleys, I got pushed into loving the Stereophonics. So the first gig I ever went to was Morpher Stadium with the Stereophonics, and that changed my life. And then I found Limp Bizkit, and I heard Fred Durst swear 48 times on the song Hot Dog. And I thought, shouting and swearing, that's two things I'm really good at.
That's me. I need that. Yeah. I could do that. Yeah.
So I saw them, and then that led me to find Lost Prophets. And I went to see Lost Prophets playing Blackwood Miners Institute downstairs to fucking 200 people, and it changed my life, right? It literally made me go, I'm all in on whatever this fucking music is. I love this. They were fucking running about, stage diving, running on people's heads, spitting in the air, and it was landing on the crowd. It was mosh pit. I'd never seen like a mosh pit like that before, because I'd only been a Stereophonic, so it was all just sardines pushing each other about.
Yeah. And
then when I was in Lost Prophets, it was a circle pit. There were people with dreads, topless, spin kicking people, and I was like, wow, this is like a fight. And I saw Lost Prophets doing the music that I wish that I could have done. So seeing them do that, and then like they were getting attention in America, and they were fucking all over Kerrang and Scuzz and P-Rock or whatever the fucking channels, MTV2 when MTV2 did music. And they were the catalyst for me going, you can do that and be from around here. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I think I could do that. So then I literally stalked them until they became my friends. And then he went from being my hero, my frontman hero, to being one of my best friends.
Wow.
To then becoming the world's most evil man. And to say I never in a million years, to be honest, like I started saying earlier, I don't think I've 100% dealt with it mentally. Because when I think about it, and when I think about it, hear about it, or I've read about the crimes that he committed, they seem so far out of what anyone is capable of.
Yeah.
That I don't think my brain has processed it, I guess, because it's fucking wild.
How
what he
can you?
fucking did.
How can you? It's so far out of
It's absolutely
like
nuts.
you said.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been lucky enough to do with the podcast is episode 50. It's either episode 50, 54, I think. It's either 54 or 58. I think it's 54. Episode 54, we had Stuart Richardson on, who was the bassist from Lost Prophets. And it was the first time anybody from Lost Prophets had talked about what had happened with Ian since he's been arrested. And our whole point in that podcast was trying to make the name Lost Prophets not a dirty word.
Yeah.
The name's Ian Watkins can be a dirty word forever and deserve to be.
Yeah.
He should be fucking strung up. He should be fucking undrawn and quartered, right?
Yeah.
But the Lost Prophets is 5 other guys who give fucking everything, right, to be in that band. They fucking loved it. It was their lives. And they had it all taken away from him by this one man's fucking disgusting actions. And we had people messaging us after that podcast. You're in some of Stu tells a story about beating Ian up for missing a show.
Yeah.
Right?
I listened to
for
it.
Missing a half-hour show. Yeah. And people thought that they knew what he was up to. And it's like, Stu smashed Ian's face in with a can of Monster for missing a 30-minute show in America, right? Bear in mind, Stu's got kids. Everybody else in Lost Prophets has got children. They beat him up for missing a 30-minute show. Imagine what they would have done to him if they'd known what he was doing. They would have turned him into a pink mist. When I spoke to Mike Lewis from Lost Prophets about this, I said, yeah, because it's the thing, see, people, you've seen it. Obviously, people thought I knew. People thought everybody around him, because all the bands who were related to Lost Prophets all got tarnished with that.
Yeah.
So if you look at everybody after that, everybody starts dropping off.
Yeah.
Funeral for a Friend went, the Blackout went, Kids in Glass Houses went. We all kind of got tarnished with we were friends with this twat bust. But yeah, when I was speaking to Mike Lewis about it, I said, people think that we knew what he was doing. And Mike Lewis said, if we had known, we would have dropped a boulder on him. Right? And that couldn't be any more true. So the best thing to come about this podcast that I'm doing, Sappenin podcast, was getting to rub off some of the dirt off the Lost Prophets names, because without them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have got to live what I've lived. And there's so many bands who wouldn't exist now if it wasn't for Lost Prophets.
Totally, 100%.
I think a lot of people forget that just because one man's fucking absolute criminal, fucking
evil.
Oh, pure evil. Literally tarnished so many different bands. And it's just fucking heartbreaking to see, like.
Oh, dude, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine being in that orbit when that happened. You know what I mean? It's just, it is impossible for us normal people to process that. So my heart goes out to you and everyone who was around that, man, because, that's just, how you come to terms with that, I doubt you probably ever will.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I've read the full court case of what he did to the point where I was nearly fucking sick. And because what happened was, I think in 2009 or something like that, I think he found drugs. So I think he went to America and he ended up doing crystal meth or some fucking mad drug with somebody over there, and then got into it in a big way. Because around about 2009, we all started to see a change in him. Even the Lost Prophets boys did. He started because he used to be like, if we were doing something, he'd be out and he'd be fucking hanging about, and majority of the time he's, looking for a girl or whatever. And then all of a sudden he just started staying in his hotel, just going back to his hotel room straight after gigs and staying there and all this shit. And then I think they found out that he was like making GHB in the bath in some of the hotels. And then that drug then it gives you fucking intense high and then apparently knocks you out. So I don't know if he was using it as like some sort of sleep, like day trip drug or whatever. But yeah, he was just getting into more darker things. And then I think a picture of him appeared on the internet of him blowing transvestite or something like that. And then he denied that was him. And yeah, it all just went downhill from there, I think. And I think he had a website where he was prostituting himself.
What the
shit
fuck?
like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, money for crack or whatever. And yeah, it was just, I think it was like crystal meth that like sent him fucking mad. But, I guess he must have also have had those thoughts and those desires in his head prior to that.
Yeah.
But, not that you go around going, oh, but I tell you what I'm into, boys. But he never, like, we had no fucking inkling. I just thought he was. I remember having a conversation with Mike Lewis. We were in Canada in 2000 and just before Liberation Transmission came out, I went over to Vancouver and recorded with them. I did some screams on a song called Everyday Combat. And I was talking to Mike Lewis because he had 2 dates in one day with 2 separate girls. And I remember saying to him, at this rate, he's going to complete women and move on to men. And Mike said to me, nah, no way, he loves women too much. And it's like, look, he moved on to men and then he got even worse. Like it was just pushing the boundary. Like
mental.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
It's fucking absolutely fucking mental. I mean, what a thing to have lived through, man. I'm sorry to bring that up, dude, because I think that's a scar that you're probably going to carry for the rest of your life, I think. So thanks for talking about that with us, man. And it's fucking really, noble of you that you're using your platform to clear the name of the band and, the rest of the boys in the band whose lives and dreams were destroyed by that prick, So, but we'll change gears. We'll move on because, talking about bands, you're in a new band, the Mighty Raiders. So tell us what's going on there and what's happening.
Nothing. We put out some songs over the pandemic period via Bandcamp. We're doing the Bandcamp Friday thing. And we've got 5 songs out at the moment. Some American Bastards took the name a week before we went live on Spotify. So we're Raiders UK on streaming websites. Again, I just wanted to play live. I wanted to play angry heavy rock songs and just have a laugh with my friends. So I managed to convince Bob from the Blackout to do it. My friend Styx was in another band called Flailing Whale. And then Styx ended up getting Ryan involved, who's our bassist. And we just wanted to play shows and festivals and stuff like that. So we've been recording slowly. We got 5 songs out now. We're hoping to record again soon, hopefully. But our drummer's now having a baby. Well, his missus is having a baby early next year. So I'm hoping to do some more shows and stuff with Raiders. But we'll see what happens, really, I guess. But it's been fun getting back out there. And again, we've gone back to playing rooms to hardly anybody, and it's been liberating and fun.
Right,
it's been
nice.
It's been good, to play to people who are not our crowds as well. And I've met loads of people who had no idea who the Blackout were, who have come on to me after and gone, "Oh, you're really good at this." I was like, "Oh, thanks,
thanks, man."
I've done this for at least 2 weeks now. I'm doing all right this time. But there's that. It's gone a bit slow lately, but we're always looking to play. So if anybody's listening to this and checks out Raiders and wants to put us on, put a gig on, let us know. I guess we've already spoken about fees on you. So you know how much we need to get the venue.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, like, go and check out Sean's band, Raiders. Yeah. Honestly, Jesus Christ, man. That band will fucking tear your face off and feed it back to you. I mean, as soon as you finish the podcast, go and check them out.
But yeah, that's the thing. We basically, if I was left in front of the Blackout on my own, angry and shouty like Raiders is what it would be.
Right.
But luckily for the Blackout, we've got Gavin Butler's beautiful
dulcet
voice.
Tones, yeah, man.
yeah. But yeah, it's like an angrier version of the Blackout, I guess. Yeah, the Blackout meets, a lot of people say Deftones, which is strange to me. Yeah. I think it's just riffs maybe, but
it's got that aesthetic, I suppose. But no, that wouldn't come to my mind. Like,
yeah, Angry 2008. If you remember 2008, that's what Raider sounds like.
That's
so
your pivot point.
Check it out.
Go and check them out. Well, Sean, man, look, I promise I wouldn't keep you for longer than an hour. We've already gone over time. I got loads more shit I want to ask you, but I know you're a busy guy and you got a busy day ahead of you, man. So I'm gonna let you go before I keep you here till fucking midnight. Before we go, how's the picture coming on?
I'm just still colouring in. Yeah, I've done devil horns around the circle for some reason. I've written I am the fire, because somebody asked me the other day to write out I am the fire so she could have it tattooed. That was a lyric by the Blackout.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's just hearts and pentagrams mainly, which is my life. So there you go.
When it's finished, send me a photo of it, because I'd love to know. I can see you scribbling, but I can't see what he's scribbling. So I'd love to see the work of art that's been occurring whilst he's also been having this chat with us. So thanks so much for coming on and chatting with us today, man. I really appreciate it. You're a super cool dude. You got a lot of love out there, man, and keep doing what you're doing and keep being you, dude. Best wishes with everything, and I can't fucking wait to see you tear that fucking stage and download a new one next year. So best wishes with everything, man. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sean Smith, ladies and gentlemen, put it together for him.
Nice one. Thank you for having me, brother.
No, thank you for coming, dude. See you, bro. See you, man. And he's gone. Wow. What a conversation that was, man. And what a cool dude. I mean, Sean, he's a cool guy, man, and he's very open and honest and articulate and intelligent. And I'm super stoked for him that he's getting back on the big stage with the Blackout after all these years, because that's his natural habitat. That's where he should be, If there's any young or emerging or starting out bands and musicians listening, take heed. Listen to what Sean just said, because it's every single word of what he said is true, not just of his experience, but of mine and every single musician I have ever spoken to in my life, ever. The music industry is mental. It's always been mental, and I can't see any sign of it getting any better anytime soon. So the more people know, musicians and music lovers and the fans and, the general public alike, the more people know just how fucking bad it is for us musicians in terms of getting paid from anyone. I think I think that's a good thing. So I think the more musicians who are open about the true reality that they're living financially and emotionally, and in terms of, just having any semblance of like normal everyday creature comforts whatsoever, I think the more people know about that, then the better. So props to Sean for sharing his story with us today. I found that a really enjoyable, fascinating and interesting and funny chat. I hope you did as well. As always, please subscribe to the podcast. You've just listened to how fucking rough it is for us musicians. So the least you can do is to subscribe to the goddamn thing and help my podcast, my humble podcast, which I also don't get paid for. So if you could please subscribe, leave a rating or a review or a comment or something like that, that would really help me out. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week with another awesome episode and another awesome guest. Stay tuned. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of others, stay awesome. Have a great week, and I love you loads. Bye-bye.